Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sav. I'm a Dress to Impress YouTuber and TikToker. In today's video, I will be showing you guys how I do my custom makeup in Dress to Impress. If you're a returning subscriber, you know I use a lot of DLC. However, with the new summer update makeup, we've gotten so many dupes for DTI doll makeup, and I'm definitely excited to show you guys how to do dupes of the DLC. If you're new here, this is my first ever long form video, but I thought that it would be fitting to do custom makeup as my first long form because a lot of people have been wondering how I do my face combos and my thought process. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Thank you guys for all of the likes, the comments, and subscribing. You guys have been super sweet throughout my YouTube journey, and I just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for everything. You guys are so sweet, and I love you guys so much. So, yeah, let's get started with the video. Hey, y'all, we're back with the default skin. For DTI, when you load into any server, you automatically get this blue skin. It's so period, so tea, so beautiful. Love it so much. For the purpose of this video, I will not be styling it. However, I'm going to show you guys my most used skin tones in DTI. First up, we got the gray skin. I use it a lot for alternative themes, and it's helpful to have in my saved combos. Next up, I have this paler skin. Once again, it's nice to have in my skin tones for when I'm doing looks that call for a paler skin. And this is one of my favorites. I use it a lot for my whimsical human outfits that are more on the ethereal side. I like making fairies a lot in DTI, so it's nice to have. Now, this is my most used skin tone ever. It's based on how my skin tone is in real life. So, if you guys noticed, I used it a lot. And then I have a tanner variation of it for the summertime when I do tan. This will match my skin tone perfectly as well. And finally, I have my darker skin tone. This one I use a lot for human themes, couture themes. I like it a lot for DTI. And as a DTI creator, I love having different options with my skin tones. It makes the game more fun, makes it more inclusive, and I just like having variety. So yeah, let's go. Now that we're in the makeup chair, we have two different sections. On the right side of the screen, you can locate the toy codes. Toy codes are for the DLC makeup. We also have a masculine section and a feminine section for makeup. 2024 is when I started Dress to Impress, and I can definitely say that makeup has improved significantly since I've started. So if I were a new player, I would use the presets from 2026. They are really tea, and I love the details on them. On the left side of your screen, you will find custom makeup details. Starting off, we have the eyes, then eyebrows. Next up is the lips. We have shading. Shading is just for contour and concealer. And finally, there are details. Details are organized even more because we have eyeshadow, blush, noses, skin features, which are face paint or moles or freckles, things of that nature. And then we have another section for more details. There's a button for saved makeup. So this is where you can save your face combos for when you do either regular rounds or if you want to do a outfit and free play, you can always save your makeup to come back to it. These are all of my face combos. I tend to use the same foundation for most of them, but that's my preference. I do use different faces for different themes. If they're human, non-human, that's what I like to do. Here, I'm going to start off the tutorial on how I would do a non-DTI doll makeup. I would grab number 213 for the eyes. However, because the eyeshadow is so dark, I would go in with the opacity feature and adjust it, making it lighter, but also not too light to the point where you can't see the shading. I also like to play around with the color wheel a lot because the color wheel is your best friend when it comes to custom makeup. I feel like I cannot emphasize that enough. Never go to the default palette when you are doing custom makeup because that is what differentiates the pros from the beginners. I think when I was beginning custom makeup, I would always do the default palette, and sometimes my lips will be super bright or neon, and they would not match my skin tone at all. So I think after learning the hard way, I would just want you guys to learn from my mistakes. Try to go to the color wheel if you can, and definitely do this in free play. There is not enough time to do face combos, especially if you're just starting, if you're in a regular server and you only have 6 minutes. For eyebrows, I tend to do number 192 because I do love having that sparkle feature, but you can use any eyebrow you want. The lips are where it gets a little bit tricky because some of the lips have a lot of toggles and some of the lips do not have toggles. For this lip, I'm going to show you guys, there is only one toggle, so you cannot color like the outside of the lip. You can only color the entire lip. And that's not a problem if that's your type of thing. For this face combo, I think I'm going to do a lip liner look. So the inner part of the lip, I like to make it a pink brown. And that's why I love to utilize the color wheel because you cannot get this color on the default palette. You must go to the color wheel. So for tan skin or browner skin, I like to go to the far right of the color wheel where I'm in that middle section. It gets that brown color that I'm going for without it being super neon. Same thing for the outer lip. I always go to the right side because I need that brown, pink tone without it being super, super neon. And I need it to be natural for the face that I like to do. So as you guys can see, I'm just playing around with the toggles. A little bit below that color wheel, you can see that there's another scale and you can make your color either lighter or darker. I like to keep my scale in that middle section for the skin tone because if I make it too light, it's a little bit off. And if I make it too dark, it's not the vibe that I'm going for. So once again, I always stay in this middle section. Once I get that perfect hex code, that's when I move on to the other details. But I always like to make sure that if I'm doing a lip combo, it needs to be skin tone or close to the skin tone so that it doesn't look too off-putting when I do the foundation. Now, speaking of, we're doing the foundation. So for beginners, I would go at number 12 of the makeup because it's hard to mess up this concealer. When I first started playing DTI, I would always do like a super powder face combo, and it was not intentional. So I had to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, with the powdered face combo, there is a bit of a debate on DTI, TikTok, and YouTube about powder faces. Personally, I don't really care what people do with their face combos as long as it's not disrespectful. I just want people to use makeup in a way that they like, and I just don't want anyone to be offended by face combos. So me personally, I try to stay in the safe area. So if I'm doing a powdered concealer like number 66, I make sure that I turn that opacity down and I make sure that the base of the contour is beige if my skin tone is brown. If my skin tone was darker, I would use a more brown. Use a concealer that is about 2 shades lighter than the skin tone so that you don't have a white concealer on a brown skin tone. I think that's the most important takeaway for shading or a concealer is that you'd never want your concealer to be 10 times lighter than your foundation unless it's intentional and you want that powdered donut look. For me personally, I don't like doing powdered donut faces, so it's not my aesthetic, but I would never hate on anyone who loves that aesthetic. It's just it is what it is, you know? Next up are the noses. Um, I think the noses are pretty easy to do. I think for my personal preference, I like doing the DLC nose Lovely Valentine. But if I were to do a non-DTI doll nose for this face combo, I would go with number 612. 612 is super, super pretty, and I love the highlight on the tip of the nose. For my face combos, I think that they all have lovely Valentine, but if you don't have that DTA doll, that's perfectly fine. You can play around with the noses, just make sure that they are proportional. And what I mean by that is you never want the nose to be touching your lip. You want it to be a good distance. So I would say about 1 to 2 centimeters above the lip is a good spot to have your nose. Now is my favorite part of custom makeup, the detail. For eyeliner, I always do Cowgirl Chic from series 2 of the DTA dolls, but a good dupe would be this eyeliner that we got from, I think, the cultural update or the summer update. I'm not too sure, but it's a good eyeliner that is a really, really pretty dupe. Now, I never use blush, but apparently we got a custom makeup update July 11th. So here you can see me playing around with the toggles. And once again, I'm going in with that color wheel to make sure that nothing is too overpowering for the rest of the makeup. I also use the opacity feature so that I can tone it down a little bit, but still have that highlight on the cheek. Now is where you can play around with like the makeup a little bit more. I use the same details in all of my makeup combos. I tend to use Dreamy Sparkle from the DTA dolls, or I like to use Serena for the pearls under the eyes. However, when it comes to the moles and freckles, I do not use DTA dolls. Number four from like 2023 or 2024 has held it down for 2 years for me. I love that mold so much. Even though a lot of people don't notice it in my face combos, I do love that feature. So next up is where I like to add either skin details or forehead details. I like to skip over like the blush and the eyeshadow because for a face combo like this, we don't need eyeshadow and we don't need blush. And I'm not going to stack noses for today, so we can skip the nose section. But this is where I tend to stay. This is the other section of the details. So this is where you find a lot of the DLC features, but you also see a lot of non-detailed doll features. For example, this one. This one is a perfect dupe of Dreamy Sparkle because it does fill that space in the forehead, but it's not too bright or overpowering. As long as you make it 2 tones lighter than your skin tone. We also have a lot of like eye details that the developers added in makeup. We have a lot of piercings for the nose. We have piercings for the cheeks. We have a lot of variety now in 2026. So for me, I don't think DLCs are needed as much as when they first came out because we have so many good alternatives for DLC makeup. And I'm excited to see what the makeup looks like for the Halloween update. So, yeah, here is just clips of me looking at the details. And overall, I decided to not max out my details and just stick with 5 because we're going for a natural look. I hope this made sense. Comment down below if you have any questions, but this is how I would do a non-detailed doll makeup and how I utilize the color wheel to make sure that everything is cohesive with the look I'm going for. Now that we finished the face combo, we will be doing an outfit. And I think the tutorial or the guide to custom makeup is pretty much over, but I wanted to let you guys know that some key takeaways is to really focus on the color wheel. I love that in Dress to Impress, everyone has their own aesthetic and their own style. So this video is not to make it seem like you have to follow this tutorial in order to have good makeup. I think it's just for beginners who might not know how to use the color wheel or how to use opacity. It's kind of a starting point, but I would love to see how you guys use this guide for your face combos in the future. I also want to just say thank you guys so much for all of the support. My returning subscribers have been here for quite some time, and this is my first ever long form video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was detailed enough. None of the DLC features that I typically use were in this video, so maybe I'll do a part two showing like specific dupes that I would use. But this is one of my favorite non-DTI doll faces I've made, and I just made it today as I'm recording it. So that was super cool to do because I haven't done a non-DTI doll face in about a year since the DLC came out. But, that's enough, I guess, waffling and rambling. I wanted to thank you guys so much. I feel like I've said that so many times, but I really do thank you guys for all of the kind words, all of the messages. I am a little bit more active on TikTok in terms of streaming because I don't know how to stream on YouTube yet, but this is my first ever long form video. So my YouTube divas are definitely seeing that first. My TikTok divas don't even know I'm making this tutorial. So that should be fun. But overall, this was pretty cool to do. I think in the future, I might try to make it a bit shorter. So comment down below what you would like to see for my next video. If you want to see maybe gameplays or how I do my hair combos or how I got to Fashion Goddess or anything DTI related, I'm down to record long videos. I think for me, I will try to do one a week because I get busy throughout the weekday. I do work full time and I go to school. So I'm not able to do long form videos often. But today I had time to record. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. And yeah, here's me just finishing up my outfit. I went for pink per usual, but these are some different details. I haven't styled that top yet from the reward section. I think it's either currency or daily login. I forgot. I need to double check. But yeah, thank you guys for everything. I hope you guys enjoyed that summer update. And I can't wait to see next week's weekly boutique and the Halloween update, of course. These are the final touches. I'm just adding like miscellaneous accessories to the final outfit. And yeah, bye guys. I'll see you guys next time in the next video.